All right, welcome to a special live stream edition of Decentralized Revolution, which is one of the two Mises Caucus podcasts. The other one is Ask an Austrian, and I urge you to check. It's where we have exactly that: Austrian economists and other great libertarian thinkers answering your questions made to order. Go to askanaustrian.com, put your question there. Every couple of weeks, a new episode comes out. We've had Walter Block. The newest one has Guido Holzman and Patrick Newman, Jonathan Newman. Check it out. But tonight, I'm your host, Aaron Harris, and with me, of course, is Michael Heise. And we've been talking about some things really all summer and into the fall since what happened in Reno. I think everybody's question was, what's next? And a lot of moving parts in the background to get things to where we are now, where we can announce what we're going to do into 2023 and beyond, kind of getting into the roots of what we really want to do with the Mises Caucus now that the LP is much more squared away than it ever has been. So Mike is here to tell us what we've been working on for the past 5 months or so.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. Really excited to talk about it. I mean, as you know, you're on the board. You're in the meetings. We've been working very, very hard ever since Reno. There was no breaks for us. Even if it might look, I could see how it might look from the outside that there hasn't been much going on, but under the hood, there's been a lot of development, a lot of building, a lot of planning, a lot of preparation. We're at a point right now where the takeover is now 6 months behind us, right? And in the immediate aftermath of the takeover in Reno, the LP had a strong surge of membership and donations. The messaging is now bold and based and unapologetically libertarian. When's the last time you could say that about the Libertarian Party? But as we always emphasized, the takeover was only just one step, the first step in a much larger process and plan. And it's earned us a lot of attention. It's earned us a lot of hit pieces, which means we're over the target. And it's earned us new members. It's earned us a lot of followers. And by us, I mean the party. The party has grown and been something that the Liberty movement is actually taking an interest in. So first and foremost, before I get into what we're moving into, I really want to give a big and heartfelt thank you just to all of our supporters, all of our volunteers, anybody who's ever donated, anybody who's ever volunteered, and especially the people who, really just did the thankless grinding work, the day in and day out of organizing, working spreadsheets, going to meetings, traveling across the country, going to conventions, all of this stuff. I mean, thank God that we have the community that we have to, keep this fun and interesting, or, I could see why people would drop out because it's just grinding work.
And our candidates, we had a lot of people who were out there knocking on doors and winning votes, and we had several in the LP who won. I think more than a dozen, but we had 3 who were Mises Caucus endorsed, and we gave money to 2 of them, and we didn't give money to the third because it was kind of late in the game when he asked us for help. But it was Bill Schultz in Kentucky, I think Crescent Springs City Council, Aaron Lamb, I think it was in Keensburg, Colorado. He's a mayor now in Colorado. And then just about, 100 miles down the road, I think for me, outside Chattanooga, David Tyler in a city council spot down there. So to me, that's like the hardest thing. And the thing I hate to do most is campaign. So I really give props to those guys putting in that work.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's and all of that stuff. The community is really the lifeblood of the caucus. The community is what makes everything run. We just help organize and mobilize things.
Yeah.
Now we've talked a lot and for a long time about our, previously 3-pronged strategy in kind of this reformation and professionalization as an organization. It is now a 4-pronged strategy. And we now have it on the platform. So if you go to our website and click the platform button, our strategy is right on there for everybody to see what we're doing. And that 4-pronged strategy is party organizing, local level candidates, issue coalitions, and liberty culture. Liberty culture being that new one. Now the takeover was all part of party organizing, and the majority of the effort was going into that one prong of the whole overall strategy. And the idea there, as everybody knows, was to kind of take over the party and rescue the brand of the LP from the people who had run its image and run its name into the ground, run its principles into the ground, and make it something that the liberty movement could be proud of and be interested in. Now, in the time since Reno, like I said, we worked very hard to professionalize as an organization internally, to start upgrading our tools, get more professional in that way, and to develop and roll out our next big long-term campaign and call to action to replace the takeover. And we really wanted to, and we're aiming to do something that is both radical and realistic, so that it can scale and take the LP to the next level and be something that is, not only that, but also on brand for us as Austro-libertarians, as Ron Paul libertarians. Yep. So with that, I am very, very happy and excited to announce what we are rolling out called Project Decentralized Revolution. We've got a website ready to go right along with that, projectdecentralizedrevolution.com. You can read the broad strokes of the campaign on the website, projectdecentralizedrevolution.com. And this is how we're going to scale up the rest of our strategy, the other prongs in this strategy. This is how we're going to nullify Washington, D.C., and how we're going to decentralize the state. Now, what is Project Decentralized Revolution? Well, Project Decentralized Revolution has two components to it. The first of which we actually launched a little over a month ago, and that is our Run as Libertarian campaign. And that also has a website, runaslibertarian.com. Now, that website is our funnel to recruit, train, and support libertarian candidates all over the country, but candidates to run specifically for city council, mayor, school board, judge, and sheriff. Positions that are both small enough so that they're winnable, and they're within political reality for the Libertarian Party as a third party, but also powerful enough to where not only can you keep your local government in check with any crazy mandates that they might want to do, like we've seen before, or any taxes or any ridiculous spending that they want to do, but they're also capable of nullifying state law or federal law right from your community. So if politics is downstream from culture emerges up from the family and through the community. It's not this top-down thing that our corporate and woke overlords would have you believe. And that's part of why we want to focus on that local, because not only is it winnable and is it able, capable of nullification, but it's also means that when you're running a local race, the culture in a real sense is what you're mixing it up with. It's what you're engaging with. And so if we can plant those seeds all over the country, we can start to shift that culture, and then eventually more and more so policy and take our liberties back. So we're going to have to do this town by town. We're going to have to build up a bench, and then maybe from there we can start to launch up into county level positions, or maybe even some state house positions and stuff like that. But we've really got to humble ourselves and get real with ourselves about where we are within political reality and how polarized things are. The tendency for people to just vote, vote for their team essentially. So, but if we do this, if we place faith in this and we give it time and we work this strategy town by town, we can create zones of freedom that, when combined in the macro, it make it impossible for the feds to uniformly impose any more draconian dictates. So imagine if 5 years from now we end up with a few thousand city councilors and a few thousand mayors and a couple sheriffs and all of this stuff, and they say, okay, well, we want to do gun control. Well, if half the counties in your state have already passed a gun sanctuary ordinance, then what are they going to do? Are they going to invade? Are they going to come door to door for the entire state? Of course not. It's impossible. There's so much more. There's so many more of us than there is of them, and we've got to utilize that fact in the the federalist system that the founders left for us, and really did give a lot of the decision making power to the states and the people in that context is the towns. So with runaslibertarian.com, we had set an initial goal of 100 candidates, like recruiting 100 candidates and 50 prospective campaign managers. That's the other side goal here, is we're not just recruiting candidates, we're recruiting campaign managers to support those candidates and to have a bench of managers to have available for people to really get serious about campaigning. And again, I'm really happy to announce that we have already beat our goals. There's already about 140 candidates and over 60 campaign managers who have signed up with us through runaslibertarian.com. And so we've blown that goal out, and we're really excited to see where that go. where that goes. Now, once people are in this, like in the system, once they sign up for runislibertarian.com, these candidates are then being routed to professional training, courtesy of the Leadership Institute, and also to other resources that we are organizing and mobilizing for them, from phone banking to volunteer support to financial support. And then additionally, we're also not just relying on the Leadership Institute, but we have been developing our own in-house training materials. As you pointed out, there was some Mises Caucus that won this election, but there was already Mises Caucus people who won these types of seats in the past. So we have assembled them. Our candidate support coordinator, Amy Lepore, is heading up a team of these already elected Mises Caucus to develop in-house training so that we can get the community teaching and training the community. And this is what's going to take. The Libertarian Party has had this throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks and not really noticing what sticks to begin with strategy for a long time, where it's just, run for office. I don't know what, but just run for anything. We're a party. We're designed to run candidates. So just run. And it doesn't matter if you know what you're doing, just get out there. And again, we got to humble ourselves. We got to get serious about campaigning. We got to get serious about door knocking. And that is what we are doing with runislibertarian.com. So again, another point is that when you look at the midterms that we just had, there was something like 680 libertarian candidates across the entire country. And of that, only about 25% of those candidates ran for local level seats. And yet that's where all of our wins came from. Yeah. All of the wins came from just a pool of just 25% of the total candidates. And not only that, but like for all time, that's where all of our wins come from. I mean, yeah, you get the rare exception here or there. There was Marshall Burt in the state house in Wyoming, and Jeff Hewitt had been a county commissioner in Riverside County, California. But those are very few and far between. And unfortunately, both of those guys didn't get reelected. They didn't win. So the local level has always been where we can win, and it's always where we should focus our efforts. I would say, run your ballot access races, run local to win, and
so just to let me explain the ballot access thing, because we're in this so much, we know what that is. But in some states, you have to get like 2% of the people who vote for governor, or 3% of U.S. senator, or 0.75% of who runs for president. So sometimes, just to stay on the ballot, you have to run somebody to requalify for that. And so that's one of the ways that the two parties keep us on the hamster wheel, that every state has a different rule to keep chasing that ballot access. So, and also, we're not against people running for higher up offices, but I think the strategy has to be different and more realistic, and do things like Shane Hazel did. If you can get in the debates, both the actual debates, but also in the public debate, and make these top level good Ron Pauly and libertarian points, do that. But we've also got to have the ground game going. I hate to use the football analogy, but you got to have a passing game and you got to have a ground game, and Project Decentralized Revolution is the ground game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got to humble ourselves and realize what the actual role of these races that are unwinnable are. You run to win locally, and we can and do win locally. So that's where we should focus the majority of our political efforts. And then these ballot access races could be senator, could be governor, could be lieutenant governor, things like that. Run to get ballot access. But honestly, I'm at a point where I think that perhaps we don't have quite as much control over the vote totals that we get for these big races as we might like to think. Right. I think it's very possible that a lot of the votes that you get at these higher levels are majority protest votes. Now, that's not to say that you shouldn't campaign and you shouldn't knock doors and you shouldn't make contacts and all of that, but the effort should be focused where it's most needed. And that is membership, and because it's going to be members that help those campaigns the most and help build it out to get the ballot access. So unwinnable races for recruitment and ballot access, and then funneling that recruitment down into local decentralization-based activity, like the issue coalitions prong and like local level candidates.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're you're in the zone here. Go ahead.
So, well, and like I said, that's Project Decentralized Revolution is a two-part project here. So runislibertarian.com and the local focus strategy, that is one part of it. So then part two, you might ask yourself, how are we going to get recruit people? How are we going to get them excited? How are we going to get them in the party and get them to run or get them to volunteer and all of that? And that's where part two of Project Decentralized Revolution comes in. And that is what we're calling the Take Human Action Tour. Now, some of you might remember that we did a pilot program of this in Virginia last year, where we had about 250, 300 people show up for that event. And, we have a pretty good history of strong turnouts at our events. We've had, there was about 1,000 people in the room for our event at the Reno convention. There was about 400 people in the room for our event in Pittsburgh. We routinely get, I would say, over 200 people at our events. And you just don't see that very often in the other sections of the Libertarian Party, and a lot of young people at that. So the Take Human Action Tour is a proposed 8-city tour of speaking events across the country, featuring stars of the Liberty movement giving talks about, all of our favorite topics: Austrian economics, war and peace, political decentralization, and, more from there. Now, these events will be on a Saturday, and they will also feature free live in-person candidate training on the Sunday after the events. So, we're going to be utilizing, again, both outside help like the Grassroots Leadership Academy to help with that training. But again, we're also going to be bringing around our in-house materials and our in-house elected MECOCs to help with that training as well, and keep that community element as strong as possible.
And you want to talk about the 10th Amendment Center? Can we talk about them helping us out with some of that stuff?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's not...
Oh, maybe I shouldn't have. Well, we're exploring the possibility of that.
We're exploring the possibility of having Michael Bolden from the 10th Amendment Center do monthly training, and that would be more related to, nullification, lobbying, issue coalitioning, tracking bills, that sort of thing, the kind of stuff that they do with the 10th Amendment Center.
Right. And a lot of the stuff that we've learned from them, and, they have the templates for the bills and stuff like that. And so we've already learned a lot from them and are incorporating it into the stuff we're developing. So whether or not they're able to be an official whatever, or, individual people from there, like, we've been upfront from the beginning that they've been a big inspiration for what we're doing. And we've learned a lot from them, both directly and indirectly.
Yeah, I mean, and in terms of the speakers, we've already got agreements with all of the speakers. I've already had conversations. They've known that this was coming for months, and I can say that both Michael Bolden and Mike Meharry at the 10th Amendment Center are down with this tour. They will be featured in many of the events. If they want to do training live, we can certainly do that as well. And the idea is that you get the stars of the movement out. They promote, their associated organizations promote, we promote, and then we're also going to offer, other libertarian organizations, whether they're LP based or not. So it could be a state libertarian party, it could be a county libertarian party, it could be Young Americans for Liberty, it could be, whoever. If they want to come table these events, they can do it for free, as long as they promote the event and crank that turnout as high as possible. And, everybody has a chance at recruitment at that point, so everybody wins. And we're really, really proud of the fact that we have been the leaders of recruitment in the party and kind of the fresh blood. And, there's a lot of young people. One thing I've noticed over time, I've been to a lot of Mises Institute events. I've been to a lot of Ron Paul Institute events and Future Freedom Foundation events and all of this stuff. And one thing I'm really proud of is that, we both draw good crowds, but we skew really young and really energetic in comparison. And so we're kind of that next wave of libertarians and Austro-libertarians kind of coming into the scene. So that's something that I'm really proud of and really, really excited by.
And that was part of an element in selecting the cities, right, too, because we want, we didn't say the cities yet. I've got it up here on the website, projectdecentralizedrevolution.com.
So the cities that we're looking at are New York City, Chicago, Austin, Texas. The website says Los Angeles, California, but that's got to be changed. We're looking at Berkeley, California, Denver, Colorado, Indianapolis, Indiana, Oklahoma City, and Knoxville. All of these are places where they've done, by LP standards, relatively well politically, and we want to help boost that. And I also don't. There's also several locations there, maybe Indianapolis, maybe Oklahoma City, where you don't hear about events like this, and we want to bring some excitement, bring some fresh blood. And again, the idea is that when we're promoting and all of these other people are promoting, we get a nice mixed libertarian crowd and do everything that we can to recruit them into the party, get some new members, and then some percentage of those attendees to the event will then also train or attend the training. And so it becomes a recruitment funnel for both the party as well as, candidates themselves and the people who will support those candidates. Yeah. So local level candidates, and then a series of events to keep the pipeline coming and the recruitment coming and keep, growing the party as we've always done.
And the other thing that we've added we used to have 3 things in our strategy, overall document and overall outlook, but we added liberty culture, which is getting people together in the same room, socializing, making friendships. I know that we've had people, I think, relationships get married and stuff like we want people to come together and bond over not only what we're doing with the Mises Caucus and the LP, but over music, over whatever it is. And so getting people in the same place rather than just having an online thing or small events in every state, to have some of these bigger things in bigger places where people can make it to is just to recreate and promote that, of just people in the same room. And good stuff happens when different people of different minds and talents and stuff can meet up in person. So
absolutely. It's that, and it's also trying to reach out beyond libertarian circles. So it's one part having our members have their own events. It could be bowling, it could be going to a bar, it could be a soup kitchen. Just kind of it's one part the community strengthening the bonds and maintaining the bonds that they've created through this whole experience. But the other part of it is also reaching out beyond the libertarian community to create relationships with influencers and within the culture and try to expand our message in the culture. So like one thing, for example, is I've been to a couple shows of the Contortionists recently, and you might not be familiar with them, but they are a headline level band, and they tour nationally. And I had some very good conversations with the members of this band, and they started realizing that them and members of one of the other bands on the tour, each other, are libertarians. And now, and so then I talked to Phil Labonte from All That Remains, and he agreed to be kind of a nexus point for perhaps a liberty community within the metal scene, and to where people can kind of just talk and be themselves, and maybe they can support each other. I had a conversation with Supreme from Wu-Tang the other day about some of this, and not promising anything, but he might even do some performances on our tour. We'll see, so there's a lot to be excited about with this whole thing. I'm very, very excited about it. So that brings me to my plea, my ask for all of you watching. First of all, if you have not yet joined the National Libertarian Party, please do so right now. Go to lp.org/join and join the National Libertarian Party. Angela is ready to pop. She's going to have her baby any day now. And, it will be a really nice show of support for us as she has her first child to go out there and have a nice, strong surge of membership, right as she has her firstborn. Let's do that for her. Let's, congratulate her on her first child and join the party and support in a real sense. That's number one. Number two, like I said, if please go to projectdecentralizedrevolution.com. All of the information that I've gone over in the past 20 minutes or so is on there about the project, about runislibertarian.com, about the Take Human Action tour. And, there's a donate button right there on the page. These are obviously pretty ambitious plans, pretty ambitious goals. And we're a very grassroots organization, and we're going to need the support of our grassroots to make this all possible. Again, the community is the lifeblood of the whole project. You guys are the lifeblood of the whole project, and we need your help to make these plans actually happen. So if you go to Project Decentralized Revolution and hit the donate button, make sure you donate through there, because that is the money that is donated to that is going to a whole different separate account, so that you can be absolutely sure that the money that you donate is going to these events. And right now, our first priority is the tour itself, locking down venues and getting speakers paid and just lining the whole thing up. And then lastly, if you're interested in running as a libertarian, if you're interested in running for city council or mayor or school board, go to runaslibertarian.com and sign up, and we'll be in touch. Our candidate support specialist, Amy Lepore, who has just been fantastic ever since she came on board. She will be in touch. Her team will be in touch. We'll get you the training. We'll get you the recordings of the trainings that have already happened. And, we'll get you as ready as possible for 23 as we nullify the state.
Yep. Sounds good. I know we wanted to keep this kind of short so we can share this around. So if people are asking, what is up with the Mises Caucus, this is what we want you to share with them over the next several weeks and into the new year. And as we get some of the tour dates set in stone and some of the names and stuff like that, you're going to be updated there. So keep listening to Decentralized Revolution. Get on our email mailing list if you haven't done that at takehumanaction.com. And have a good Thanksgiving. And anything else, Mike, before we say goodnight?
No, just a thank you once again to all of our supporters. And, please go to the website and help us out to make this happen. We want to do this for you, and we want to see where this can go. Again, the Libertarian Party has never done anything like this. It's never committed to a strategy long term. And that was the entire reason for the takeover, is that so that we can keep the LP staff with people that have the same strategic vision, so that we can actually carry out a strategy in the long term. So we already did that. The long-term strategy starts now, and it starts in 23. So take human action with us, projectdecentralizedrevolution.com.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Bye-bye.